Good morning. Welcome in. It is Tuesday, December 23rd. We are 90 days out from March 23rd, the 23rd of the month. If you're a fan of a certain, and this is me aging me. Welcome in. Good morning, by the way. If you're a fan of a show that was on years ago, I feel like it ended yesterday, although it didn't, although it's very popular. There was a show called Seinfeld. Check with your grandparents and tell them I said hi. And there was a fantastic episode, which was actually called The Strike, if you ever watched the show. And this speaks to the brevity being the art of wit, right? Every episode of Seinfeld, except for maybe one, they were all just called like the donut, the this, the that. And this episode was called The Strike. So I think if people are online looking for it, they're looking for this episode called Festivus, but it's not called Festivus. It's called The Strike. It's an episode where one of the characters, Kramer, was thought to be somebody who was never employed, but he'd actually just been on strike for years from this bagel shop. Anyway, it all wraps around this fictitious holiday that was on the show called Festivus, which is celebrated on December 23rd. If you've ever been in my office, I have the decoration for said holiday according to the show. It is a single aluminum pole, which requires no decoration because Frank Costanza finds tinsel distracting. If you've never seen it, you might not go back to do it. If you're a fan of Seinfeld, you know what I'm talking about, and today is the day. It is a Festivus for the rest of us. I hastily came into the office this morning and I have not yet put it out. So I will launch that after the quick start. So it will be outside my office. If you're in Portsmouth today, you'll see the Festivus poll, which actually is more information than you needed, but it'll be on the quiz later. Bought it from a place in Wisconsin. There's a website. I'm not going to check right now, but there is a website called FestivusPolls.com. where you too can get a desk-size Festivus poll or a life-size Festivus poll. And I'm sure they have a few other arrangements for sizing. When my dad passed, my sister goes on the website and she gets a little Festivus poll because we'll go and visit his grave and put flowers on the grave, and she'll put a little Festivus poll on the grave. Well, the guy that owns the place saw my sister ordering time and time and time again and finally said, "You order one of these every year. What's going on?" He actually wrote back to her, which was pretty cool. And she said what it was for. She leaves it, obviously, but as you know, at most cemeteries, they come through after a certain period of time and they'll gather flowers after Memorial Day, after Veterans Day, after the holidays. So not to mention it's probably getting blown away in the wind or covered in snow because it's Christmas. So she told the guy that she leaves a Festivus poll at our father's grave every year. And he sent out 100 Festivus polls, which I thought was really cool. So if for no other reason, if you're in the market for a Festivus poll, it's FestivusPolls.com. It's ridiculous and it's funny. It's a great show. If you never watched it, I completely understand because it was on in the 90s, but I was alive then. You might not have been, but that's okay. Let's get to it. Not much on the calendar today, if we're being honest. It is Festivus. We have the quick start, which we are in right now, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. We are heading to Fight Club this morning. Should you be deciding to make some phone calls, have some conversations, or have some interactions, you're gonna be hearing me say that word a lot. It's really about interactions. I think we talk about conversations and people lock and load that like, okay, coach means I have to be on the phone. You don't have to be on the phone. We have to change the way we think about what we're doing, right? Leaders help people think differently. It's not causing people to think the way you think. Just look at it differently. There was a lesson they taught in MAPS years ago, and they probably still do. We were at a certain class. I was at and I'm sure they probably gave us these every year at Coaching Skills Camp years ago too. The way they taught the lesson was they handed out these, and they had of course they were branded. Thank you, Gary. They had the MAPS logo on them, which stands for Mega Agent Productivity Systems. That's the educational arm of our great company here. And they handed out all these beach balls. Now, the reason they handed out the beach ball, and when we talk about helping people think differently, right? And just see things in a different way. The whole premise of the beach ball was You and I could be having a conversation. You and I could be in negotiations as competing brokers, but cooperating brokers, right? It's a competition. And of course, you're fighting for the best thing for your client. I'm fighting for the best thing for my client, and we're looking at the same thing. So the point was, we're both looking at the same beach ball, and the stripes are running vertically. So I'm seeing yellow, green, red, and you're seeing blue, orange, purple. Those aren't really the colors on a beach ball, but stay with me. I promise you I'm making a point. If we just alter the way we're looking at it, if we choose to both look at it differently, from a different angle or perspective, if you will, the lesson that they taught us in that class was to take the beach ball and to take it off of its north-south axis, to take the stripes from going vertically and to tilt it. So we were both looking down the axis or at that circular patch on the end. But now with this new perspective, you and I can both see all of the colors, because I'm looking at the top, you're looking at the bottom, but we have a new perspective where we can see all of it, not just one side of it. That's the way we need to approach today, 2026. However you're going into your new year. We're never going to be able to have everyone on the same page. Though if we can challenge each other to make sure we are doing our very best to allow each other to think about things differently and change our perspective. And we might not have the opportunity to tilt the quote unquote beach ball so we're both looking down the axis. Maybe it's I have to come around to your side of the beach ball and see it from your perspective. And then you come around to my side of the beach ball and see it from my perspective. Leaders teach people not what to think, yet how to think. And we do that by staying curious. We do that by asking questions. You've heard me say a million times, this will be on the back of my grave. Ask great questions, take great notes, have honest conversations. And everyone always says, someone, at least one person in the room will always say, well, Timmy, what's a great question? And most of you know my answer. It's the next one. Tom Brady years ago was asked which one of his Super Bowls, and this we were probably 3 deep at this point, which one of his Super Bowls is his favorite? And he said the next one. And it's not that he wasn't happy that he had won 3, but I promise he was a professional. He wasn't satisfied. We talk about that all the time. I wish that for you. I want in the moment. I want it 12:55 or 11:55. Sorry, 11:55 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Take stock in everything you did this year. Be happy, be proud. But then at 12:01, be unsatisfied again. And not for more, not for things, not for wealth, not for trophies or volume or GCI or any of that crap that we focus on. Just out hustle this year's version of you next year. That's it. It's not about who ends up with the most stuff. You can be in a room full of stuff and still feel empty on the inside. For sure. If you're a parent, Christmas becomes more and more challenging. I mean, for 4,000%. You know, if your little one, if they're getting their first, I almost said iPhone, but I won't. We have Android friends. We have Android brethren in the audience. They're getting their first phone. That's not a big box. It's an expensive box, but it's not a big box. I know for the last handful of years, we've struggled with the tree doesn't have a whole bunch under it. I'm like, well, if we break out the abacus, there's a whole bunch under the tree. But my boys at this point want small, expensive things. When they were little, it was great. Way back in the day. Watch an episode of Seinfeld, then head to Toys R Us. All things that are gone now. But you could pile these big plastic toys that they wanted to play with under the tree, and it looked great. What I've found, no matter the amount, the footprint of the gift, how big it is, or even the number on the price tag, going to bed at night as a mom or a dad or a caregiver and just thinking, I spent X on Christmas. It's not about the stuff. Same way the industry is not about the stuff. Nobody's going to be at your wake and be like, oh, see her office? 10 bold trophies. 14 Capper trophies. That's not what they're going to discuss. They're going to discuss the person you are. And the best way to simplify this, also a bold rule, you're welcome, shameless plug, coming in February to the Market Center. Your business will grow to the extent that you do. We talk about as leaders, we have to lift our lid, right? We have to raise the consciousness in the building, in the classroom, in our offices, with our teams. If we're not helping everyone else on our team run faster, think bigger, be more experiential than transactional, then we're holding people back. But it's the way we think about what we're going to do next year. Not telling people what to think, helping them think bigger, creating the environment for them to do that in, and then doing our very best every day to be 1% better. That's what it boils down to. After Fight Club today, which is KWFightClub.com, starting in about 15 minutes. Join us for the Midday Protocol. It's the last one this week. We're going to do a Midday Protocol today at 1 o'clock, timsoffice.com. We're going to talk about our numbers for the day, and we're going to talk about what we're grateful for on this Gratitude Tuesday. If I can help with anything, let me know. It is 603-834-2856. Happy Festivus. I will not see you, and if I don't see you today in the building or somewhere on the internet, have a fantastic holiday. I'll be back in the building next Monday. My best to you and yours. Merry Christmas.